Okay, quick test. Make sure the audio's just working like usual. Can you hear me? Okay, quick test. I hear me. All right, let me turn that down. Alrighty. Hey. Nice way to start, right? Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wine Wednesday. Tonight, I am all about New Year's resolutions and had a fabulous New Year's Eve. Want to hear about yours? Sipping on some leftover Moscato and Asti type. I don't know, the significant other got it for us. So, but it's tasty and it's great. I don't usually do the whites or the champagnes, but we're doing it tonight. Hey, it's one of those nights. I know we started late, so if nobody does join, totally cool. Just wanted to jump on. See how your holidays went, kind of chit chat with anybody who comes along, and then we're going to get back in gear next week. I'll tell you, to start this off, hi Chris, to tell you guys, to start this off, look, I've got my pillows all right, honey. Oh Lord. One of my resolutions is to do a better job with this Wine Wednesday. So you will be seeing some changes coming up. I'm also really going to focus on getting done some of the things that we've talked about, and that, last year just was so rushed and so many letdowns and bad things, that this year I'm going to work a lot harder and be focused on getting some of these things accomplished, like the getting the blog finalized and getting the website and app done. And, I've got a lot of things I want to do with the actual seahorses. So lots of stuff. But let me jump over, make sure I don't have comments yet. I'm kind of having to jump between again. Hello, Nicole. Happy New Year to you also. Let me know, guys, what your New Year's resolutions were, if you do that kind of thing. I've got quite a few. I won't bore you with all of them. I thought I'd focus on what I'm planning to do with this. And I guess it looks like Ray must be busy because he didn't jump in and join me today. But let me know in the comments, how your holidays went. We didn't stream last week because I figured, everybody was doing Christmas or whatnot. So, and those that don't celebrate Christmas, it's still, I believe it's still Hanukkah too, right? Or it was. I don't know. Hey, Jim, what's up with you? I did post the link if anybody wants to join. Like I said, casual chat tonight. Just wanted to jump in because I said I'd be here, so I'm here. But let me know what you guys are all up to, what's going on with you. If you've seen any really cool new topics you want to talk about tonight, feel free to jump in, or we're going to keep it short, sweet, and simple. And, I guess I could sit here and ramble on and on about what's going on with me. Not sure everybody wants to hear that, but all right. So I'm looking, I see the Facebook. Hi, Chimp. Hi, Chris. Let's see. And I see, hi, Salty. How are you? How was your holidays and New Year's Eve? How is everything going for everybody? Tell me. I want to know what your resolutions are if you do that, because I got really serious about it this year. I don't know about all of the rest of you, but I have just kind of had a dumpy couple of years. Seriously, um, you know, um, just not getting much done with the seahorses, not doing much with videos on here, not doing much in general. I think I've told you guys before that I've been working really hard to get certified on a few different computer programming certifications, and trying to really make that my career. But I definitely don't want to leave the seahorses behind in the dust, nor any of you. I still love reefing and I still love my seahorses. So I'm planning on really trying to pick up the pace with things around here. And so let me know, did you guys set up new aquariums for the holidays? And Salty Reef's resolution is to start posting videos, getting more involved with your channel. Amen. That's what I'm saying is, this channel, we have quite a bit of support that I didn't even realize. People don't always come heck, half the time I'm late, right? So people don't always come right at 8 or at 8:15 or whenever we start. Some people don't always jump in right away, but I couldn't believe the number of people that view it afterwards. I feel like we tend to get off on tangents and ramble a lot, but apparently it's becoming a success. My whole goal was to do this where we could have guests and speakers and learn from each other, but also just to have, the weekly thing where we get together and talk about what you did and how your aquarium's doing. And so it was just really nice to see that that's working. So I agree with you. I am going to get more involved with the channel for sure. A lot of videos I have just sitting there not finished. Psh, not good, not cool. So, and I might just have some new seahorses and might be completing my macroalgae aquarium very soon. So that would of course help with the video. So anyways, all right, who else we got here? Christopher Carey says he can relate. He didn't succeed with any of 2019's personal goals or your big ones at work, professionally. Bit bummed out, hoping for a better 2020. Man, I've already talked to you on the side, Christopher, and I need to go check and see if you ever responded. But I hear you. I think a lot of people have kind of felt that way. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to explore what it is. But it's just been, a rough couple years. I know I'm not the only one that lost family members and just, well, I don't want to dwell on the negative because the point is, here's to a better 2020. Amen. Let's do it. I'm ready for it too. Anyhow, and Chimp's resolution is to be more productive in general because he's kind of lazy. I hear you on that one too. I do. I'm curious. Do any of you guys, Chris? We'll talk on the side, but we still want to hear, anything that is going on and, what your plans for the future are, because no matter what, you're going to find what you need to feel better about things. I just know it. And Salty Reef has decided 2020 is going to be your year. I'm in. Sounds good. I hope it's a better year for all of us. I really do. And I'm going to try really hard to be positive, focus on the positive. I mean, I still have my seahorses, all the ones I used to. I've got surprises coming. You know me. Oh, things aren't going well. I got to do more then. But anyhow, what are you guys doing? And hello. Excuse me if I mispronounce. Please feel free to correct me. But Vishnu, I believe it says. It says, hey, how are you? Love your videos. You were wondering what might be a list of cleanup crew which can be used in seahorse tanks with macros. Looking for some macro safe CUC. Great question, and I'll quit rambling about New Year's resolutions. No, really, guys, anytime you have a question, pop in just like that. That's awesome. All right, and anyone in... Oh, no, Ray, no worries if you have company. I figured it was because I started late. So you enjoy your company and come back next week. Anyhow, you guys can always comment in the comment section also if you don't feel like joining and answer all these questions with me because, I'm not exactly Miss Pro. I just have done this for a while. Anyhow, CUC for a seahorse tank. Okay, a lot of that, just like with tank mates in general, a lot of that comes down to your risk tolerance level, what you're willing to risk, and etc. I personally am a chicken when it comes to my seahorses, and I just don't like to put anything in the tank that would cause any kind of problems. So all of my tanks are snails. That's my CUC is snails. Every once in a while, I'll diverge and get something rare, but I don't do crabs. Just because I've heard so many horror stories about the crabs, even though they seem really tame at first, ending up pinching. So now that being said, a lot of people keep snails, especially the hermit snails, blue, not red, right? Yeah, the blue hermit snails in their aquariums with no problems. So, you could always, I guess, try it. But if it's your first seahorse aquarium or something, my personal advice is to stick with snails. And since you asked, because of the macroalgae, some snails eat macros, right? That's what they're after. That's their thing. And I will post a link once we're done here. It's one of my favorites. It's It's from a Joe's WordPress blog or something like that. I will post a link when we're done, but it literally has a list of the snails that eat certain algae. Like it's a list focused on helping you beat nuisance algae, but it also can explain which ones will eat any macros that you're not trying to lose. So, and just a general idea, usually the turbos are a no-go because they'll eat macros. So I stick with mainly like margarita snails. Um, let's see, what's the other M one? Mexican. The Mexican turbos are iffy, but I personally have not had a problem with them. Sereths, I'll post the list, but mainly I stick to snails. What do you guys do? Anybody in the comment? How do you handle cleanup crew in a seahorse tank with macros? I'd love to hear your opinions. Salty said that you've had good luck with the blue leg hermits, the smaller ones. And like I said, that's kind of like what you're willing to risk. I'm, as I said, chicken, so I always stick with the snails, and it works for me. Now, that being said, especially with snails, you gotta replenish them. Like, it's not a one shot and you're done, and your tank's gonna stay clear and clean forever. It just does not work that way. So, I would have to really pay attention a little better to know how often I add snails. But I guess really I look at it like when I start noticing that the tank's getting more dirty, or dirtier, excuse me, then I'll just order some snails. Um, so, and I will check Facebook in a second to see if there's any comments over there as to what CUC you guys use. The other thing, I don't know, I guess, yeah, it's considered cleanup crew. The other thing I always put in my tanks are peppermint shrimps. And that's because, number one, if you get the right species and if you get them hungry, then they will take care of any aptasia that you might have in the aquarium. Very debated topic because it doesn't work for everybody. But in my case, it has worked for me. Adding peppermint shrimp will help with aptasia. Maybe not a final answer, but it helps. And, they're just such great scavengers. So I just stick with the peppermint shrimp and the snails. That's mainly my cleanup crew. But let's, definitely check and see what everybody else says tonight. I've got a cold going on too. What a way to start the new year, right? But let me know if that helped you at all. And of course, I will post that link because it really breaks it down on which snails. Because it fascinated me how many snails there really are. And, they change, advice changes over the years on what's good and what's bad and, blah, blah, blah. But the snails have been tried and true. I think the article is like from 2013 or something. It's a really old article, and I still love it and stick to it. So anyhow, if you have any other questions like that, I tend to ramble, as you can tell, but usually we have someone like Dan or Ray if he didn't have company, or somebody in the audience always helps me answer these questions. So love the questions. Ask away. All right, I'm seeing if anybody else. Okay, Salty said he loves the peppermint. Yes, very, very good. I know that Lucy has some internet issues right now, but Lucy, I can maybe ask to come back and comment when she has time and has good internet connection. But she uses a bunch of different shrimp in the aquarium, and it's kind of a win-win because if you have win-win, maybe not to you if it's paying for them, but bottom line is if you have large adult seahorses, sometimes they'll eat the shrimp. I've never had that happen, especially with peppermints. They're just too big, but I know that's occurred with Lucy, where she's added shrimp as cleanup crew and the seahorses snacked. But that's still a good thing, right? Live food, I guess. And so, yeah, Chris, if you're still in here, pipe up. What do you guys use on a professional level as far as cleanup crew? I know that when Dan has talked to us multiple times, first of all, typically in the professional setting, like as in a breeder, they won't have macros. So, I understand that your question's different than what they would answer, but a lot of times they don't use, I don't think they use any kind of cleanup crew because they turn over their tanks so often. I don't know. Anyways, I'm rambling. I know it. The other thing is with macros, I'm curious in your aquarium, in your setup, Yeah, Christopher Curry said he is the cleanup crew. Right. I'm curious to Vishnu, if I'm saying that correctly. In your aquarium setup, um, do you have macros in the display tank, or do you have them in the refugium, or both? And I ask that because I think that one of the reasons that I get away with such a small and replaceable cleanup crew is because I do have um, an algae scrubber in my refugium. That is in addition to macros in the display tank. It's kind of a complicated setup because I keep different species of macros. Like I keep the pretty display macros in the display tank, and then I keep the turf looking hair algae on a scrubber, or turf algae on a scrubber, sorry, um, in the refugium. So, well, in the sump, I guess, whatever. And then on my reef tank, for instance, I have algae in multiple different species of algae in the refugium. So it does kind of depend. I'm guessing since you said in the tank with seahorses that that's what you meant. But I was just curious if you had them elsewhere. Because that's a topic I really want to focus on a little bit more in the videos on this channel and in the talks too, because, you know, they have such different needs, and certain snails will eat certain types and that kind of thing. So didn't mean to overcomplicate it. My answer again was snails and shrimp. And I'll post that link. Okay. And Salty said, "Hey Kevin, Happy New Year. Don't join while you're in the library. We don't want you getting in trouble." And we're just kind of chit-chatting today anyway. Anyways, but if you have any tips for cleanup crew in an aquarium with seahorses and macroalgae, pipe up. Or if there's any announcements, just let me know and I'll make them. Salty said he hasn't tried any other shrimp. Oh, I'm sorry. And I hope you had a fabulous holiday and a fabulous New Year's Eve. And if you want to share your resolution, we'd be glad to hear it. Okay. Salty said he hasn't tried any other shrimp in a seahorse tank besides the peppermint shrimp. Right. I gotta touch base with Lucy because I know she had all kinds of cool shrimp in that aquarium. I just don't know about them. All right. So as we can see, I ramble, but hopefully I got your question at some point. There's Lucy. What timing? Hi, Lucy. I was just talking about you. Your ears must have been ringing. I know you probably can't join internet and such. Cool. Hey, feel free to try to join if you want. But the topic that we were just talking about was cleanup crew for a seahorse tank with macroalgae. And I was explaining that I typically stick with snails. Salty said that he does use blue-legged hermit crabs that I don't use. And I mentioned about all the shrimp that you've tried that sometimes the seahorses snack on. So I was wondering, if you knew what species you had used and if they were good for cleanup crew, or if, what happened with all of them. If you're able to tell us, but no big deal. And Happy New Year. I hope you had a fabulous holiday. I'm so excited to get back with everybody. I feel like everybody kind of took a break for a minute. So, all right. Anyways, yes, good. I'm glad. Again, sorry I ramble so much, but I hope that did help a little bit. So you have Cato and Ulva in the refugium, and then you have all the pretty kinds in the display. Cool. If you have any idea what types of algae you have in the display, that kind of, it's not a huge difference. Like I said, the article that I'll link tells you pretty much just kind of steer clear of the big, huge turbos, that they will eat the macros. And really, that's really the one. I think there was one other one maybe that's not good, but margaritas are just my all-time favorite for a macroalgae tank. For some reason, they stay away from the algae, and they just munch on the yucky stuff, Okay, so Lucy did say blue legs, so she uses hermit crabs. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. You can read it in the comments. And I have done a sea hare before. Good one. Lucy, when you said mollies, I'm assuming you mean the actual like freshwater or brackish, I'm sorry, mollies. I've tried that before and it wasn't very successful. Or is that what you're talking about? Holly, nothing particularly wrong with turbo snails. It's just that in my personal experience, they nibble on the pretty macroalgae that you're trying not to give up. If your experience has been different, please share. But I was also referring to it because in the article that I've posted before, and I'll post again when we're done, I'm 99 cents, 99 cents, 99% sure that it said that the large turbo snails just aren't, they're good for eating algae, the macroalgae type of algae, whereas certain, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. But yeah, let me know if you've had the same experience. You don't have any trouble with turbos? I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's just, I've tried to add them before and I catch them nibbling. So they go in the reef, typically. And Lucy, you meant Molly Miller the Blenny. I'm so sorry. Of course. Blennies are great too. Are they considered cleanup crew though? I'm really not sure. Are Blennies considered cleanup crew, or are they like considered tank mates? Either way, you're providing a wealth of information. Thank you. I'm so glad you joined. I really am. And yeah, you had Molly's with the seahorses, right? I did too, but they just they didn't do much for me. I honestly can't even remember what they were supposed to do. I guess clean up, but they just didn't do much for the aquarium. Oh, you just mean tank mates, right? Gotcha. All right. Well, now you guys all got me curious. So I hate leaving dead air. So I'll probably continue to ramble as I look. But now I'm about to look this up because now you got me wondering. I never want to say anything incorrectly. All right. Let's see if I can't just find it right off the bat. For aquarium, I usually have it bookmarked, but let's see. And yeah, Holly and everybody, tell me how your holidays went. If there's anything new with your seahorses, aquariums, any of it, I want to hear about it. If you have a New Year's resolution, I want to hear about that too. And oh, another thing I wanted to mention while I'm looking this up while we're live is that I noticed Seahorse Savvy put out another article about buying seahorses based on color and how seahorses can change color. Really great article. I'll try to link to that too if I can remember, and definitely check that out. I know it's posted in quite a few of the groups. So, but yeah, just chatting tonight while I look this up. You guys ask any questions. Tell me how you're doing, what you're planning for the next year, anything aquarium or seahorse related. I'm really interested in, but whatever. All right, and earning their keep. I'm going to let you all talk because I can't follow all that. Okay. I'm not going to be able to find it. Hang on. Maybe if I put Joe. It's a really old article, but it was just so good. Yeah, I found it. Okay. And I will post it when we're done. I'll try to post it while we're talking. And I probably won't be able to actually show you the listing. But this, here, let me see if I can even see. You probably won't be able to see, but I'll post it. But it literally covers each snail, the nearite snails, the trochus, trochus, and then the turbos. And at the bottom, it says if you have a problem with film algae, go for these two types of snails. If you have a problem with this, and it just says under macroalgae, if you have a problem with macroalgae, so like if you've got a reef tank where you don't want macros in the display and they've crept up from the refugium or something like that, they're really hard to get rid of. So if you want to get rid of them, then it just advises turbos and trochus. So then it has even like a checked off list showing you which is where. Anyways, just an article that I like that has always seemed correct to me and worked for me. So, but different people's experiences, hey, we want to hear them, And all right. I'm so glad that you can see the video, Lucy, and that you're getting the audio well. Wish somebody would join, but I'm just glad to have you. Anyways, all right. Let's see. We do, I was speaking, Lucy, just to let you know at the beginning, I was rambling on about that, but I was rambling on about that my New Year's resolution this year, one of them, I'm going to do some different things with seahorses and stuff, but one of the main things that I really want to focus on is finishing all of these projects that I started last year. I want to get more serious about doing the Women in Reefing and the Seahorse and Pipefish groups at MACNA and the groups on Facebook. I want to get more serious about getting the website finished and the application done. The application is so cool, you guys. Oh my gosh, I just can't wait to show it to you, but I don't want to put it out there till it's tested and good. You know how that goes. But I want to get back on doing videos. So definitely, I'll be getting with you soon, even if it's not directly internet connection here. But all right. So Chris says he's planning a new Seahorse display for work, something a little bit different to make people more conscious of littering and pollution. What? I am I'm so interested in hearing about this, because you're talking about an actual display. Like, I remember seeing the big giant animals. I think there was a seahorse too, made of trash to like bring awareness, but you're talking about setting up an aquarium to make people think about this. Ooh la la, please come share. We want to see, we want to know. And Lucy said she loves the virgin nereids. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Nereids, because they're super hardy. They don't get out of the water. They're small, so they can go anywhere, and they're pretty good at eating algae. Right. I like them too, and I like the little. Are the virgin ones the little tiny ones? I really like those. And what are the ones that do go out of the water? Let's see if I can even find it. I can't remember the names of these ever, guys. I'm so bad at names. The Estrella, is that it? Yeah, the Estrellas. This is just a fabulous article. I will post it. He gets my respect big time for writing this so long ago, and it's still being valid and all the information correct as to my thoughts. But yeah, I just wanted to comment one more time, if Holly's still watching, that yeah, I definitely wasn't saying that anything's ever wrong. Just he asked what I use for CUC with seahorses and macros. So I love it when you guys pipe up and say what you use, because it is often different, and what works for one person doesn't always work for another. Like, I get away with not using, hermit crabs or, whatever, and without turbo snails. So maybe someone else would need more assistance in an aquarium set up differently. So definitely always share your opinions. Always, always. And you said you really like the conch snails. Now, I had now I don't want to make a fool of myself. The conch snails are the big, huge ones, right? That have a big, long, I don't know the term, big, long arm thingy that they flip themselves. We're so technical on this channel, I know. All science, all the time. But no, if I know what you're talking about, I'm pretty sure that I do. Maybe I'm thinking it. Okay, well, now I'm down myself. But anyways, whatever that big old snail is that has the arm and flips itself, I got one of those for my seahorse tank once. As I said, very often I'll veer off and get something, totally out there just to try it. It was amazing. It ate like everything, never bothered the seahorses. It was kind of a pain because I always do bare bottom aquariums and they prefer sand, I believe. And I just often, they were so big. Big snails run into stuff, and I'm not very good at making sure that my rocks are secure. I'll make a really pretty design that's safe enough for seahorses to hitch on, but I don't typically use anything to glue it together. So, those big snails, that's maybe another reason that I avoid them. But trunk, thank you, Holly. Trunk, yes, and I love them. They're so cool. I got one for my reef too. But you know what was interesting? I'm curious about how long you've been able to keep them. Because, and I hope this is still helping anyone with questions. Please interrupt at any time if we're veering off. But I'm curious how long you were able to keep them, because when I put one in the reef, it just did not last long. It just did not do well, and I felt awful when it didn't make it. And I got two from the same company, and one went in the reef and one went in the seahorse tank, and the one in the seahorse tank did fabulous. So I don't know, I just can't even begin to guess what the difference might have been. Maybe I didn't maybe it's temperature. I do know that a lot of these snails are susceptible to temperature changes and stuff, and maybe I didn't acclimate well enough. I mean, it lasted like a while, but not even a full year. I see yours is going on 2 years so far. That's so cool. I love it. What a great thing. Now I feel worse. Thanks a lot. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, any thoughts on that? Why the one in the reef? You think it's the temperature and acclimation, or I don't know. But let's see. Okay. And you don't like the conch eyes. I think they're so cool, though. I mean, oh, come on, Lucy. No, they're interesting little snails for sure. Let's see if there's any other little snails since we're on snail topic tonight. If anybody else has anything they want to chat about, or Chris, if you want to share any more news, we're all game for that. Um, but yeah, I'm just trying to see. The other reason I really like this article is just because there are a lot of articles online about how to deal with nuisance algae, but this is like really specific on particular snails to deal with particular algae. Like he doesn't even go into the fact that of course you need to, of course, look at your maintenance and all of that stuff, husbandry, etc. It's just really focused, super focused. So, anyways, I'm curious too. I'd have to scroll up to see the name again, and I'm probably butchering it anyways. But I'm curious to the person who asked the question. Are you currently? I think you said you did have the Cato and the Alva and the Refugium and then the Pretties and the display. How long has it been running? And how's it going? I'm curious because that's one of the things that I really want to focus quite a few articles on is like the different lighting that I put over each and how I just care for them differently. So I'm just curious what your experience has been. Kurt Baldwin wants to know, do any of us use biopellet reactors for nitrate phosphate for algae? No, I don't. I know many people who do. I think last week, or maybe not last week. I'm sorry, we weren't live last week. 2 weeks ago, or maybe possibly 3 weeks ago, we talked a lot about reactors and I can't even remember the darn word. The one that does oxidation. Dang it. Anyways, we have a lot of people on the channel who do. So if you want to share information, feel free. There's a link at the top. In fact, I'll put it up here again in case anybody does want to join the hangout and share information that you've got. Or if you were wondering about them, if you have a specific question, I can always get an answer for you, or someone in the audience will. And you said probably bad for macros, though actually right. See, that's one of the reasons that I never messed with it, is when you're talking, if you have a Seahorse tank that's like not, or a reef obviously, and you're not, and you're using that as your nutrient removal, your nitrate phosphate leveler, so to speak, then I think it's an excellent idea. But when you're using algae, or in my case, I use it in displays, in refugium, and on a scrubber. And yeah, anything like that, it'd be such a careful balance and takes so much testing and perfection. And like when you think, as you just pointed out, when you think about the fact that macros will grow, and what they take up and what the aquarium looks like completely depends on where they're at in that growth stage, or if you've just harvested or whatever. So yeah, I personally haven't tried it, but curious to hear about anything you did. I don't care, go. Sorry, kids. All right, and yeah, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think Holly, was it you that uses? Maybe not. I'm sorry, I can't remember, but I know we have someone who definitely does use that type of high-tech stuff. I'm more natural over here, It's too much work. Let's be real. I think that the really high-tech equipment is really cool, and I believe that it works. I just, in my reef tank, just for an example, when I first started my reef tank, I did everything wrong, and I had to get on a serious regimen with Cruz Arias's help. I had to go through so much to get that reef tank back in order, and then, figure out how much dosing of each thing. It was just such a huge undertaking that if I can, in the Seahorse tank, just use macros and, just watch the basics, I don't know, I'm lazy, I guess. Okay, Holly said, I'm sorry, let me read in order here. Okay, Kurt said you ran a 40 with them at low levels, the amounts of beads, and did okay, but slow macro growth. Right. I want to use an algae scrubber, but I'm nervous on it not working. Huh. Okay, now just to be serious, I do know that that's something that I wouldn't want to tell you to jump over into, because I know that once you do use those reactors, to take it offline is like, I believe, a big no-no. Like trying to switch bang bang, you'd probably need to do it gradually, like fewer beads and a little macro, blah 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 blah, is my guess. But we can ask somebody who knows better sometime. But anyways, I I can tell you in my personal experience, of course it depends on your levels in your aquarium and stuff, but man, algae scrubbers are amazing and they do work. It's all about care. It's about getting the right lighting on it. It's about making sure you're harvesting. Um, but I really, really like them. And I will mention this. I told you guys one of my um, New Year's resolutions is to get back on the videos and get, like the macroalgae series completed. The other thing that I did, honest to goodness truth, is I was reading a post on Facebook that was kind of giving advice, and somebody mentioned one of the videos on this channel, and I went back and watched it. And well, let's just say I'm going to redo a lot of videos because I do understand I ramble, guys. And, when I first started making these videos, I was excited. I wanted to throw everything in there. They're an hour long, crazy. So you're going to see some shorter, more to the point videos coming up. And these are the types of things that I really want to cover. So if I don't know the answer, I'll research it and get it for you. And thank you for all the questions, for real. But yeah, okay. Rambling again. So yeah, if you do switch to the algae scrubber, please come back and let us know how it goes for you, because I just love them. And I will be putting out a short video, on what I do and what's worked for me. So, and Chris said, you've been juggling too many projects, so trying to focus on one at a time. Maybe that can be your New Year's resolution. There you go, sir. Not taking too much on that plate. Oh, I so agree. I'm trying to, yeah. After I told you guys all these things I want to get done, I couldn't agree with that statement more, because that's one of the things that happens. You get to spinning and don't get anything done. Believe me, it was my whole last year. Let's see. Holly asked, do you use a wave maker in your tank like the Vortex, since they have special attachment to protect tails? Yes. I honestly didn't even know they had a special attachment to protect tails. So, interesting. I would have to go look that up, but I'm definitely curious. I use Jabeo, oh gosh, it's been so long. I use Jabeo wave makers in the larger Seahorse tanks, like 65 gallon and etc. I use two, RW4, I think. RW4, I use two of them, one lower to kind of not disturb the bottom, but, rustle things up, and then one higher, and then I've got the return, of course, making the waterfall type situation. But yes, I do use the Jabeo wave makers, and I just cover them with fishnet. Not fishnet, what's it called? Mesh net, the plastic mesh stuff. And then I did the exact same thing, used mesh net in my largest tank, the SWA 90 SCA. Oh, I'm doing terrible tonight, guys. Anyways, the pretty 90-gallon tank, the big, beautiful 90-gallon tank that I can't even remember its name. Yeah, in that one, I've got one of the big, I'm doing terrible with names tonight, guys, but the big wave makers. Why can't I think of this name? Somebody help me. Somebody help me with the name. What's the name of the long wave makers? Oh, gosh, I'm wanting to say. I can't think of what they're called. It's got a very specific name, too. Oh, gosh, that's going to drive me nuts. Oh, somebody help me. Somebody help me. Remind me the name. They're long. Some of them come to Max something or other. Guy Reed. Thank you, Chimp. Sorry, guys. Look, now everybody's on it. Okay, Guy Reed. Thank you, guys. Not doing so well tonight, and this is literally my first class. Anyways, the Kyrie, I do use one of those in my really big seahorse tank. It works great. Never had a problem with the seahorses. I do cover it, and I'm definitely interested to know about the actual attachment they've made to protect tails. That's really cool because I've always done it with my own materials, um, which have to be cleaned. That's the only bad part. They constantly get yuck, but. Okay, and Kurt, I'm so glad that you're deciding to try the algae scrubbers. Definitely come back and let us know what you think and how it goes for you. And if you do have any troubles, I can absolutely help you with that because I've had lots of problems and learned along the way. So absolutely. Okay, what else? Let's see. Nicole asked, how long after introducing CUC do you wait to add your seahorses? It's your first seahorse tank. All right. Salty Reef said would depend on the parameters. I'll absolutely agree with that. Let's see. Okay, so tell me a little bit more, Nicole, about where you're at with that. Meaning, when I first started aquariums, the big advice was to set up, cycle, and at that time when I didn't really know much, I just thought it was like adding a shrimp or adding food or whatever to the tank, letting it sit, blah blah blah, using live rock, letting it cycle, and then adding cleanup crew. And if the cleanup crew didn't die, then we're good to go. Add fish, and that's not really how I typically do it anymore. Now I cycle any kind of media I'm using, or dry rock, or even live rock. I would clean it and then recycle it using ammonia. I personally use bottle bacteria, but anyways, it kind of depends on, as he said, your parameters and how you set up. Because unfortunately, now that you've got the CUC already in the aquarium, you wouldn't be able to do the method that I use to test my aquariums. And the method that I use is, once I believe that my aquarium is fully cycled based on testing, then I'll add 2 ppm of ammonia straight to the aquarium, because there's no fish in there. It's just water and rock or whatever at that point. And then make sure that the bacteria in the aquarium can convert that ammonia all the way through within 24 hours. And if that was really a confusing way of saying it, I apologize. I can clarify if needed. But once you've got CUC in, oh gosh, Dan, where are you? Because I sure don't want to tell you wrong. I would say continue testing the tank just to be sure. Because the problem is that most people don't realize the large bioload that seahorses create. Like, they're not typical fish. They eat more, they release more, they're just kind of dirtier. And so I don't even know how I would do it without ammonia now. What do you guys do in the audience? How do you, let's see, oh, I'm sorry, you were answering me. So sorry. Need to scroll down. All right, everyone said depends on tank parameters, if it's fully cycled. Hey, Chris, Gyri, it might be Gyri. I don't know, but okay. Let's see. Currently cycling, everything's going great. Ghost feeding currently. Should be able to add CUC probably in 2 weeks. Okay, whoa. If you have not added cleanup crew yet, then I sincerely advise you, I'll try, you know what, when we're done here, I'm going to go through my really, really long seahorse tank setup video and just mark the specific part that talks about using the ammonia to test the cycling process. Or, if Dan jumps in, maybe he can describe it. He's a lot better than me at describing it in quick and simple terms. I tend to ramble. But I will direct you to that portion of the video, or I can talk to you on the side one-on-one, because it's better if you're asking back and forth versus me just rambling. But yeah, the best way before adding cleanup crew is to use ammonia to test the aquarium, to make sure that all that ammonia can be converted through nitrites to nitrates, all within 24 hours. And then if you've used 2 ppm of ammonia, that you'll be able to handle, that aquarium will be able to handle 2 seahorses. So Okay, Lucy says she puts the seahorses in right away and the tank cycles with the seahorses inside under close management. Right. If it's your first seahorse, right. The people who've done it for a long time can do that. If it's your first seahorses, I think you're really, really smart to wait. And you said, I'm sorry, I'm reading comments as I'm going, guys. You're testing 1 to 2 times daily. Nitrites are currently spiking. Ammonia's low. Okay. So how are you ghost feeding? I guess is my question. Because the big problem with ghost feeding is not, I shouldn't say problem. I'm sorry. Everybody has their own ways. But the big issue with ghost feeding is that you don't know how much food to really put in that will equal what the seahorses will eat and create as far as waste. So when you're ghost feeding, you're cycling the tank, but you might not be cycling it enough, if that makes sense. So like you could have everything to the point where there's no nitrites, no ammonia, everything tests, even when you throw food in, and then you put the seahorses in, and all of a sudden you got an ammonia or nitrite spike. And it's because you have to make sure there's enough bacteria. It's really complicated. But make sure there's enough, it's cycled enough, there's enough good bacteria of both types to convert all the way through to nitrates based on the bioload of seahorses. Did I explain that okay, you guys? I'm probably not doing it very good. Anyways, I'm going to touch base with you after this on the side if you want, and I will put a link to that little portion that talks about using ammonia to test. Or if you just even Google it, man, it's all over the internet. It's 2 ppm of ammonia. If it converts in 24 hours, then you know that you're at a point where it is cycled enough for 2 seahorses. Okay, I'm going to quit rambling. And you said you use pellets daily dissolved in tank water, half a cube of mysis every 2 to 3 days, depending on how it looks. And yeah, you're not actually doing anything wrong. I would just advise you to, you know what? And if you do add cleanup crew and everything's going well, and then you add seahorses, if you do get an ammonia or a nitrite spike, the best advice I can give you is prime and water changes. Prime will detox the ammonia and make it safe so that the seahorses are not getting hurt by it. Water changes will bring you right back down to normal. You can do that, as Lucy mentioned. It just takes a lot of water changes to make sure they stay safe during the process. Prime is so wonderful for emergencies. Just saying. But anyhow, and I'll post that link. Okay. All right. What else did I miss, guys? I feel like I'm talking. I hate being up here by myself, y'all. All right. All right. And Kurt, yes, thank you. It is the best way to test for cycle completion. I'm just not explaining it very well. I wish Dan had been able to jump in tonight because he is so good at just narrowing it down and saying A, B, C. I go all over the place. But anyways, that's the other thing, guys. I've been bugging him, and we're going to get that Ask Dan podcast going. I promise. It's going to be great. So if you have topics that you want to hear him talk about in a short, 10-15 minute period, if there's topics you want him to concentrate on, comment, let me know, and I'll be sure to get him. Yeah, I'm excited. All right. Okay, what else have I missed? I know I've been rambling all by myself for like an hour. This is awesome. I'm sure it's just been fascinating, right, guys? Okay. Seahorses are poop machines. Amen. Lucy does it that way. And yeah, right, close management. Okay. Salty said, once the tank is cycled, add your cleanup crew. Right. Feed the tank for a few days, test again, maybe feed heavier, keep testing, making sure the ammonia is being removed within 24 hours, then you know you're safe. Right. Yes. I mean, right. People have done it with feeding, with ghost feeding for so long. I just personally think that in a seahorse aquarium, it's a bigger deal. And I know, Lucy, that people with more experience who know what to look for, what to do if there is a spike, that kind of thing, can get away with more. I've started tanks in a day too, for absolute sure. It's just, for someone doing I remember the first Seahorse tank I set up, it wasn't like this at all. I wanted to be sure everything was right. You know what I'm saying? I did not want to put those seahorses at risk. So we've told you a couple different ways. All this advice is good for sure. And Lucy said she performs huge daily water changes after 4 days and keeps it for weeks like this while adding bacteria daily. Hey, Lucy, I'm curious, what bacteria do you use? That's a really good topic too. Um, because I have a few standby bacteria that I use and trust and etc. But there are some that I don't. That I've actually gotten the same type has worked once and then not worked another time, and that's really scary to me. And I know that it's important to look at expiration dates. It's important to make sure it doesn't get hot and then cold and such. But I'm just curious what brands of bacteria you folks use to cycle your aquariums. I've personally really liked Dr. Tim's, one and only, has always worked for me every time. Um, Fritz, I think they have two now, don't they? You guys pipe up in the comments if you want, but the Fritz brands of bacteria, you got to make sure you get the right kind though, because they've got the sludge eating, and that's the big problem. Is with the bottle bacteria, you've got some that are sludge eaters and some that are nitrifiers or nitrifying. So got to make sure to get the right one. But curious what you guys use. All right, I'm gonna stop rambling. But I also use bacteria and Prime. Did I mention Prime? Love Prime. And I know that Ray, when he does join, he has something that he gets there, Aqua something or other, that's very similar, I believe, to Prime. And I think there's an Aqua Vitro one. All right, I'll stop rambling. Okay, and so let's see. Chris uses bacteria too. It's not often you have to cycle a tank at work, right? I know that Cheryl, I don't think Cheryl could make it tonight. I haven't seen her pop up, but I know that Cheryl, um, just like Dan and just like I do on some tanks, uses separate media, meaning like a K1, I don't want to really call it a reactor, K1 setup, where literally they have K1 sitting there and cycled and ready for any aquarium that they need to set up quickly. They use ammonia to cycle it though, that whole ammonia testing method. And I do that too with the Brightwell bricks and there's Brightwell and there's another brand. Anyways, I know I'm getting off track, guys, but the bricks are really great too, as in keeping in, especially the little sphere bowl thingies. I love those things because I keep them cycled, and then if there's any kind of problem, I throw one in, or if I need to, set a new take up or whatever, I just use those, and it's wham bam cycled instantly. Great. And let's see. I'm getting tired, guys. Okay. Oh, Alan Tooth said I am explaining it correctly. Yay! I feel like I ramble all the time. Good. I'm glad. And please feel free to, pipe up any comments. I do appreciate you. And Nicole, hopefully all that did help. And if you have any other thoughts, questions, let us know. And please come back and let us know how your aquarium's doing. We love to see the new aquariums and hear how things are doing. If you ever feel like it, you can jump into the stream by clicking on that Hangout links. You do have to have Hangouts, but you can jump in and actually show us. Turn your video and show us your seahorses. We'd love to see. All right. And Lucy, I'm so glad your internet's doing good tonight too. Unfortunately, I don't want to go on and on. I'm really getting tired. So, all right. Okay. And you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Chris said, I saw an aquarium store here in Australia doing a random giveaway for a seahorse tank complete with a seahorse. It was really depressing. A 40-liter tank for a potbelly seahorse in the summer with no chiller. Oh, how depressing. That really is depressing. I know that a few weeks ago we discussed at length the all-in-one seahorse tanks that we saw in multiple places. There are some all-in-one aquariums that you can make work, but in the situation we were talking about, they were doing kind of what you're saying. They were trying to sell a seahorse tank, all-in-one seahorse tank with the seahorses right off the bat. And it's like, when are you gonna cycle that? When are you gonna, and it sounds like no chiller, not big enough. I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope you punched him, knocked out the window, something. But if not, you should post the phone number of the store. We'll all call. Just kidding. Okay. All right. And Kurt mentioned the Seachem bacteria. Right. Is it Aqua Vitro? Am I saying it wrong? I don't use the Seachem either, but I've heard that it works. So yeah, let us know what you guys use. Okay, Alan Tooth asked, where would I purchase seahorses in the Tampa Bay area? Well, okay, here's my two suggestions. Seahorse Source is kind of slowed down. They're typically my number one place to buy, no matter where you are in the world. But they've kind of slowed down on sales, so you can check with Seahorse Source, but I'm not sure that they have any going out right now. Next would be Seahorse Savvy. Alyssa is a fantastic seahorse breeder, and she'll ship to anywhere, and she does a really good job with shipping, and it's just a really top rate company. If you're looking to buy locally, I would suggest checking on Felicia McCulley's breeder blog. I think it was the very last Wine Wednesday, I posted a link to her listing that showed local breeders in every area. So you might want to check with that. Other than that, I would advise, excuse me, checking with your local reef clubs, maybe. But I personally, all the seahorses I have, I've bought from Seahorse Source and Seahorse Savvy. Except for my first two seahorses, my two original seahorses were wild caught because I didn't know any better. But besides that, that's the two places I buy. I've never bought from anybody else. So that's what I would suggest. If anybody knows of a breeder in the Tampa Bay area, please feel free to comment. All right. Kurt says he uses Fritz Turbo, right, and Biospira. Oh, Biospira. I think Biospira is actually one of the ones that I had good luck with and bad luck. So I'm glad that you've always had luck with it. I could have done something wrong. Who knows? All right. And Salty Reef likes Aqua Vitro Seed. We're talking about bacteria, guys. Hey, if it's called seed, I bet you it's amazing. And if it's worked for you every time, I trust it. And let's see. Okay, Chris has approximately 126,000 liters of salt water on hand right now. I wish I had that. See, I swear, I wish I wasn't landlocked. I could do so much more. I would have nowhere to put that much water. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Lucy uses Fritz, ATM, Dr. Tim's, Prodivio, is that how you say it? Prodivio or Prodivio. I'm guessing Prodivio. I think Milev's Reef, Mark Livingston, I think he used a lot of that. Anyways, Tetra, so you use them all. Gotcha. And let's see if there's any other questions that I've missed. Okay. Seahorse Corral, I don't think they're in business anymore, to be completely honest. I could be wrong, but the last time that I checked, the only two, professional level breeders were Seahorse Savvy and Seahorse Source. I know there's a lot of really good local breeders. Elizabeth Cates, oh gosh, I'm gonna get the names wrong. Lucy, what's her name? Oh, now I've got to look because I certainly don't want to forget. Hang on. All right, let's see if I can find it. She posts all the time for sure. Okay, well, I'm really sorry if I'm not mentioning your name. I'm just not doing great tonight, guys. But there are, I'll tell you what, if you go to, the other suggestion I should have made if you're looking for seahorses is to go to Seahorse Sources group. Because in Seahorse Sources group, you can't buy and sell on Facebook anymore, but you can connect with a lot of the breeders. I'm wanting to say her name's Sharon. Gosh, that's going to drive me nuts. That is going to really just drive me nuts. I cannot believe. Susan! I'm such a jerk. Susan Hoppner is an excellent small-time breeder also. All right, so obviously I'm just, doing great with the names and such tonight. So I am probably going to, unless you guys have anything else that you're just dying to talk about, I am going to call it for tonight and get on those New Year's resolutions, try to get that app done and such. But thank you for posting the links, guys, or Salty Reef. Definitely cannot wait to see your videos coming out on your channel, and I really want to touch base with you and hear more about where you're at, because the last time we actually talked, you were in getting there kind of process. So, and Chris, have a great day at work, And make sure to message me so we can finish our convo. But I want to make sure you're good. And absolutely, that's a great way to end tonight's stream. So thank you to everyone who joined. I will post those links when we're done. If you have any questions that didn't get answered, comment away. We'll cover them next week for sure, or try to cover them in more detail, whatever. And could not agree with Christopher Carey's comment more than, it's not possible for me to agree more. I hope that your last year was good, but that your 2020 is better. And wishing you all good and Seahorse successfully 2020. I love that. That's so great. All right, guys. See you next week, Nicole. I hope to see everybody next week. And with that, I shall say cheers. Happy Wine Wednesday. Cheers.